Well, former Vice President Riek Machar has told Al Jazeera his fighters are not behind the attack.
I contacted the field military commander in Bentiu, who told me that such accusation is false. First of all, we respect our people, and the majority of the forces are from the region, and we can't kill our citizens.
Well, yes, it is his responsibility because these are his rebels. He has admitted that these are not citizens that these people have not killed. He has to answer for it definitely because these are his rebels, and he has said it over the media that he has taken over the city of Bentiu and that his forces are in control. So there's nothing more proof than that. The government delegation will continue to be at the peace forum in order to have dialogue with these rebels so that we bring this senseless war to an end. So the government is committed to a peaceful dialogue of the issue. The rebels are not committed, as you can see what they have done in Bentiu. They have been violating the cessation of hostilities, as I said, which we had signed on the 23rd of January 2014, in which all hostilities must come to an end. But they said that they were not going to respect it, and that's why they are going on killing innocent citizens all over the place.
Well, Anna Cavell is now back in the South Sudanese capital, Juba, and horrific scenes there from Bentiu. No one claiming responsibility for this massacre. Did you manage to speak to any of the survivors?
Yeah, we certainly spoke to people who had moved from the town to the safety of the UN base. We did speak to someone who said he'd been in the mosque at the time, but the tensions here are running high, and it's very difficult to speak to people freely because everyone in the town of Bentiu is fearful of their neighbours and of being overheard, and everybody's being very careful about what they say. It might be a stretch to say that Bentiu used to be a multicultural place, but it's a border town, so it was home to the Dinka and the Nuer of South Sudan, of course, but also to people from north of the border from Sudan. Darfuris live there, Misriya Arabs. So people are now that this conflict has taken on this ethnic dimension, people are beginning to look at their neighbours and the people around them very differently, and there's a lot of mistrust and certainly tension in those places where people are hiding at the UN base.
Absolutely. In the meantime, we're hearing rebels saying that they've taken yet another town. What are we hearing about that?
Well, the rebels claim to have taken a town called Mayom to the west of Bentiu, that's on the border of Unity State and Warrap. We're trying to get confirmation from the government at the moment, so we don't quite know what the truth is, and it's not currently a place that's accessible. But it's important to understand why Unity State is important to both sides, and that's because it's one of the oil-producing states of this country. There are only two, Unity and Upper Nile, and it's no coincidence that these two states are the main places of conflict. So what the rebels have been very clear about is that their military intention is to take and stop production in both Unity State and Upper Nile State in order to be able to strangle the government in Juba economically. Militarily, this will be a much more difficult task. They're currently far away from the capital, Juba. But if they're able to stop oil production, they'll be taking away 98% of this country's revenue, and there simply won't be any more money coming in to support the government of South Sudan.
Anna, we're seeing people fleeing to UN bases around the country, trying to get away from these attacks. But of course, as we also saw, the UN bases are also vulnerable to attacks. So where is the security?
Well, that's a very good question. Last week we saw in the town of Bor, the capital of Jonglei State, that people with arms from outside in the town actually storm that UN base, gain access to the protection of civilians area, and attack and kill people hiding inside there. Then, of course, just a couple of days later in the town of Bentiu, we see that a mosque is stormed and that more than 200 people are killed there. So the people of South Sudan are looking around to see where they might be able to find sanctuary. They're currently looking at the UN and wondering if they're capable of protecting them, and they're also finding that the religious places where they previously have felt safe no longer are. So this must be a very difficult time to be seeking sanctuary in Sudan.
Absolutely. Okay, Anna, thanks very much for bringing us up to the very latest there in South Sudan.